everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Secure More Projects with Real-Time Pricing by EPCOM. We're really excited to talk more about the integrated pricing benefits and what it means when a supplier like EPCOM deepens their relationship with D-Tools and alleviates the need for tedious data management. All right, so before we get started and dig into that, we have a mixed audience. So, want to give you a little bit of information about D-Tools as a brand and what to expect. So, we are the market leader in system integration software. This is our we've been in business for over 25 years and have two products in the market. We have D-Tools System Integrator, which is our flagship product. And then we have our lighter weight, more plug and play product with D-Tools Cloud. Specifically on D-Tools Cloud, we're trying to give you tools that help speed up your sales process. We're also going to refine your customer journey and make it more repeatable, and also lay the groundwork for a process that's scalable. So ultimately, we're providing an end-to-end solution. We want to keep more of your activity inside of the D-Tools Cloud ecosystem. And it starts with data. So while we have access to millions of products, what we're trying to achieve here, specifically with EPCOM, is managed pricing. So you guys, as dealers, you'll be able to enter in your account credentials and connect to them as a supplier. That will allow your dealer authorized pricing to flow in and stay up to date. And that alone, I think, is a significant amount of time savings. And you're going to be grabbing rich content data from us as well. So that's the images, the descriptions, the specifications, and once again, your cost. We're also going to be providing you with a suggested installation time with every product. Now, it is you can use it as a placeholder, you can modify it, you can leave it as is, but tying labor to equipment is one of those significant benefits when using a product like D-Tools. All right, so everything starts as an opportunity. So you are going to get CRM with D-Tools Cloud. So all that stuff that goes along with managing leads and pipelines and acceptance sign, this is where you can inject that workflow so that you can shorten your sales cycle and also have visibility with what's in the pipe and easily manage your activity. Our proposals are multimedia, so it's really nice to step into this century and really have a tool that allows customers to engage with this living document. Now, you can download it and export to PDF if that's how you prefer, or maybe your client prefers it that way, which is definitely a factor. But if they work from the URL, they're able to engage with it and ultimately set their price from inside the proposal. So they can do things like what you're looking at is an alternate set. So there's this good, better, best scenario that we're trying to automate. And we make it really easy for customers to pick their own products and update the bottom line and accept your proposal. And we also do this at the package level as well. Now, visual quoting, this is just another way to build a quote. Your customer can, excuse me, not your customer, you can start your proposal process by adding line items, or if you'd like, you can upload a floor plan and stamp products on top to help give your client a visual. You know, we're always sometimes trying to describe the experience that the end user is going to have, and this just allows them to connect the dots. And it's more of a sales tool than anything, but really nice graphic way to show the customer that we understand the problems that they're trying to solve, and this is how your team is going to solve them. Now, in regards to service, our service management suite is a massive suite of features. This is the ability to present the service plan and your preventative care packages and monitoring agreements and the proposal at the same time. So when the client looks at your proposal, they can basically start subscribing to what happens after the project has been completed. So, really elegant way to inject that workflow, and it's one signature for both. The service management suite is also the service call, the break fix workflow. So, customer calls in and you've never done business with them before, but their camera's not working, or maybe something else might need a tune up. They can create a ticket, dispatch it to a technician, and they go out, close it out, and you send them, an invoice at the end of it. So full on service management here. All right, now speaking of proposals and reoccurring revenue, DTools Cloud has become our own payment processor. So if you would like your customers to pay as well as enroll in any reoccurring payments, they can do that from inside the proposal if you decide to sign up for DTools payments. So there's just another arm of the business that we are trying to keep inside the DTools ecosystem. And the best news is that it all flows into your accounting platforms and reconciles there at the end of the day. But we wanted to wind down on our third party providers and just really give you guys a way to do it native to DTools. So DTools Payments is rocking it. And if you haven't checked it out yet, it's definitely worth your while. Now, switching from pre-sale to post-sale, after the customer accepts your proposal, what happens next, right? Full on project planning, scheduling tasks, ordering the equipment, managing change. This is a little feature right here, one of my favorites. Your customers might never change their minds, but in the event that they do, we have a great workflow to roll this out. And then project management, full on job costing, tracking time against what was sold. So as your technicians clock in and out from the job site, it's going to deduct from the overall amount of time that was sold to give you this how profitable were we at the end of the job. All right. And then your business intelligence is here, lots of reporting. You have some sales KPIs, like what's in my pipeline, when is it going to close, maybe how much of the business was surveillance versus, AV. All those metrics are here because we're tracking your activity on such a granular level. You're able to aggregate it and present it back to you in a meaningful way to support the business decisions that you're making consistently. So you can come and get some of that data in your business intelligence. Um, Inventory management, full on stock management. This is a newer feature that we've launched in Q1 of this year, but really nice visibility into what's been received, knowing the location and movement of your products, and setting your stock levels, barcode scanning, the full bit. So if you keep stock, this suite of features is for you. And even if you do just in time ordering, it's just still nice to know the value of the equipment that you have on hand and when it's left the building. Some of our third party integrations, we work with QuickBooks Desktop as well as online, and also Xero. We really want to keep that data flowing to your accounting platform. So it all reconciles there. And if you're looking for some true CRM capabilities, these are some of the third-party CRMs that we integrate with. Now, in regards to onboarding, we do have a dedicated team that solely is here to help customers transition from the status quo over to DTools Cloud. Um, every plan comes with a set amount of hours. These are just some ideas that customers have used that time for. We help you set it up. We talk about labor. We get your proposals customized and looking the way that you're happy with. And really, I personally feel like that's the biggest hurdle, if you will, is getting the documentation to a place that you're confident and happy with sharing it externally. And then everything's kind of downwind from there. But tons of one on one time to help make the switch. Also, in regards to support, all of our customers do get support. It is chat based. However, if you'd like to upgrade your level of care, we do offer goal support. Their chats go into a separate queue for faster response times. You also have an escalation path in the event that you're not limited to chat, right? And you also get an account manager to assist with your needs. So that's where the product is, and this is where we're headed. Um, Tons of stuff being worked on. We are typically on a monthly release cycle. Here is where you can come and actually in the software, you can come and see what we're working on. We're building a native iOS and Android app for technicians. We're currently working on multi-office support. We do have a lot of customers with multiple locations, so we're working on some stuff for them. Drawings will continue to get some love. Going to continue to build out those software integrations, and we can't develop enough reports. So reporting will continue to expand. All right, so that's a little bit about us and what to expect. What I'd like to do now is we can hop into the software and talk a little bit about DTools Cloud and the benefits of working so closely with EPCOM. So now, just to talk a little bit about the workflow, everything starts as an opportunity. So on my Kanban board, this is where I have customized every column to be a stage in my sales process. And you basically just drag and drop as the deal moves towards becoming sold. So we want to make it really easy for everyone to see where is it, who's working on it, and what is the next step in the sales process. And you give them different weights, which feed into your forecasting reports, and that's how we'll know what's in the pipeline. Now, when a client engages with the proposal, you're going to get an email notification. Also, ultimately, when they accept, you're going to get a notification via email, and then you'll also get an in-app notification in the upper right-hand corner. So that's your cue to place it in your final stage and create a project. So a project to us is a sold opportunity. We now have a signed contract in place and a new customer to onboard. So that drops it down to the projects tab. And then here is our Kanban board that defines our post-sale process. So I would say the biggest benefit of these two tabs here is that we want to map out your customer journey start to finish. And that alone makes your process a lot more repeatable. And you do the same thing, right? Another thing that happens in the background when you convert an opportunity to a project is that we're going to lock the bill of materials down as the as sold. And that's going to give us this firm compare point to manage change. So any post-sale changes, whether internal or external, will require a change order. All right, cool. So external is typically client requested, and hopefully we're expanding the scope of the project while it's underway. And internal might be, I ordered, initially we thought we were going to get this part. there's something pretty comparable that's available because I can't procure the primary product. That would be more of an internal non-billable change. Cool. All right, but we're all here to talk a little bit about EdCom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce over to the catalog and talk about the managed pricing piece and how important it is when we build these strategic relationships with suppliers. So we're going to go to manage pricing. And this is where you'll go to see the suppliers that you've connected to. Also, where you'll go to connect for the first time, you'll select the available pricing tab. Now, listed at the top are our APIs. Now, when a supplier has an API, we love that. It makes it super easy. And then you know that pricing is updated in real time. So I'm going to select EPCOM, hit my request access icon, agree to your dealer specific pricing, and enter in their credentials. So this is how we know what your cost is. Simply by connecting, your dealer authorized pricing will flow in. So we'd go ahead and do that. Now, for those of you that aren't current EPCOM dealers, feel free to select sign up for an EPCOM account. We'll put you in touch with our resources and you can talk about, learn more about becoming a dealer and getting access to all their quality products. All right, so once you've connected to a supplier, you can now pull data down from us. And there's a couple different ways that companies like to set up their catalog, so to speak. Now, you can filter down to EPCOM and start adding products. Now, what's really nice is that you don't necessarily have to come here and add them one by one. Um, what you can do is you can simply start quoting. Every item that you add to a quote will get added to your My Products list. So this can behave like an evolving list of quoted items. Now, other companies like to import. So if you do have a price sheet that you'd like to import, feel free to bring those products in and we'll match them up upon import. So if we find a match on category and model number, we'll add the images and all the extra data that you're not able to bring in with your Excel import, right? But so two ways. You can have your catalog organically evolve, or you can import and set it up. But the idea here with the catalog, guys, I would lean and mean is the name of the game. So we really want your catalog to be the products that you sell so that it's not cluttered up with every single bit and bob that you've ever sold. It's a succinct and an accurate catalog. So let's just take a deeper dive on this product and let's just see a little bit more about what you're pulling down from the DTools library. So category, manufacturer, and model number, those are the three required fields for any products to exist. Now, they've provided a short description. Short descriptions are more techy, but you also can adjust it as needed, or you can enter in a longer description, which might be a little bit more verbose and give the user a description that's a little less technical. But we're going to give you the images. They've been provided by EPCOM, which is fantastic. And you can add your own images, but this is the image that will represent this item on the proposal should you decide to show images, right? All right, so here we have an install price, and let's talk about how we got there. So once you've connected to EPCOM, your cost is going to actually be supplier set. Now, this is a hard thing to demonstrate because it is protected. So I don't have a Sandbox account, so pardon me. But once you've connected to EPCOM, your cost would be supplier set, and you can unlock that here as you're working as well, right? So let's just say for demonstration purposes, right, this camera it cost me $500. Now, what's nice is that the MSRP is here, and you could run what we call a brand price rule, which is a way to globally set your pricing. Um, so I could say, map my MSRP to my unit price because I always sell at retail. And it looks something like this. Let's just say price is 100% of MSRP. And MSRP is a managed field by our partners, so you can trust it. And it's just a really nice way to globally set pricing. So that's what we call a brand price rule. But based on your cost and your selling price, this product has a 38% margin. So tying profitability to every single product in your database is how we're going to know how profitable we are at the quote level, right? So it stems from the equipment. All right, so now over to labor. Here is a suggestion of 30 minutes. You define your labor types and what you charge for the different types of labor that you sell. Now, you can leave what we suggest, or you could edit and just say, you know what, Chanel, I think we're going to do an hour and a half on this, right, for installation. And you're able to stack additional types of labor onto the product as well. So I have an hour and a half of install. Let's just say this is going to take me another hour of programming, and my programming rate is different than my installation rate. So these labor items give you a lot of flexibility during the quoting process. They can be line items, or they can be tied to a product, or I could go into my surveillance category and add these globally for EPCOM. But this $435 worth of labor is feeding into my install price. And how you show that to the customer is completely up to you. But this is our internal composition of pricing and how we got here. So you can always play with your different grouping and display options on your proposal. Make sense? All right. It's a beautiful thing. It's all working together. Now, below are my resources. So EPCOM has provided additional data that goes along with this product. So when we get the user guides, the cut sheets, the PDF, we pass that along to you. And through the multimedia proposal, your clients can also access this if you decide to share it with them. All right, but that's the product. Now over to inventory, you can mark this item as a stock item and set your minimum stock level alerts. Specifications on this. This is beautiful height, width, depth, weight, if it's rack mounted. Again, if you're taking advantage of our inventory, this is where you'll map the UPC as you scan products in and out from inventory. Okay, now accessories. Now we're going to have to start having a little fun. This is a great space when speed and accuracy don't align. So if there is cable that goes along with this, a preferred mount, any accessory, this is where you would add it so that once the parent item has been added, you're able to bring those bits and bobs along with it. So you're able to accessorize on the surveillance category level, which is very global, or you could accessorize specifically on this device. So let's just say that this particular camera came with this mount. This is our preferred mount. Now, recommended is going to give you a pop-up um, and have it pre-selected. Required is not going to prompt you because we can't install it without this piece. And optional is more of a would you like to add upsell workflow if you happen to be quoting in the field with the client, optional items would pop up. So you can get really granular and even customize how you'd like your accessories to behave. Moving on to subscriptions, if there were any licensing fees or agreements that you had to pass along on behalf of the manufacturer to the end user, this is where you would put that. And then an alternate set is if you wanted to give the customer a comparable product that they could choose from. All right, so that's a little bit about the product details. And you also have allowances. Allowances are placeholders for equipment. So, in the event that you might be in the field getting scope and budget, you could start with a camera and kind of narrow in on the spend for that customer. And then at any time throughout the sales process, you can replace this generic placeholder with the specific camera that you wanted to use. Same thing with building out packages and things like that. Okay, now over to service plans. Just want to touch on this really quickly. This is where you'll define the different levels of care that you offer, your post installation service plans. So you'll give it a name, a description, a dollar amount, and then you start adding features on what does the client get when they are on your basic care service plan. And for those that are offering monitoring agreements, similar concept, right? The terms of the alarm monitoring, fixed, dynamic, and what's included in the plan, and that it requires the client to acknowledge that they've read your monitoring agreement. Okay. So, all right. So that's a little bit about service plans. So, from the catalog, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to an opportunity and let's go into an existing one right here. Or we can start one from scratch, actually. So, let's just call this my opportunity name is going to be EPCOM. Let's do building. Now, when you're creating an opportunity, if you want, you can make a template. This will allow you to just basically pre-populate it with product and labor if you know that this is a very popular project that you do. Let's just say this customer has $10,000 to spend and it is a 5,000 square foot space, building type. You can do commercial, market sector, corporate, but all these required fields are great because they end up being data points in your business intelligence. So you can see how much retrofit versus service versus new construction you did in Q1. And the referral, lead source, former client, that's great. All right, client details. I'm just going to we'll just keep it consistent. Now, on the site address piece, let's just do 90210. We do have an Avalara tax backend integration, so you can define your tax rates, or you can have the software automatically propose tax based on the client site or billing address. And then we've created a new opportunity, right? So here we are. We have an opportunity. We have our client. We have our budget. And I'll talk a little bit about this 325 and what that means. But this is a lead in the first leg of our race. Now, these cards, they are a way to keep all the moving parts organized in this one opportunity file. So I have the client information that I just entered. I have my quote. Now you can create multiple versions of the quote. However, only one quote can be accepted per opportunity. All right, so they're not going to get everything. We need to copy it to a new opportunity and get it back in the pipeline. Below in the activity section, we have notes and we have to-dos. So DTools Cloud is really big on collaboration, meaning that I could mention my teammate. This would send Ali a one-time email notification. Wants to discuss progress billing, right? This will notify her and send her that email. Now, if I wanted to have her be a part of all the milestone changes that are happening, I would add her in my upper right-hand corner. And then anyone that's kind of resource added to the opportunity is already going to be made aware of the activity within it. Make sense? One time, all the time. All right. So this is where the CRM stuff keeps on coming through. So a to-do would be call this client on Friday if they don't call me, and send me a little tickler due date and reminder email to do that. And so every user has their own footprint in the software. And this activity thread just kind of organically evolves as the deal progresses and, you know, maybe someone changes the due date, perhaps someone deleted the drawing. Everything just kind of gets date and time stamped in this thread of activity, which is really nice. Especially if you're moving quickly, it's nice to get caught up on what's happening without having to have a meeting about it. All right, so any additional contacts that were involved in this opportunity, I would add here. Maybe it's the building manager, perhaps it's the interior designer, the builder, the electrician, whomever, but we want to keep all party, anyone that you might bump into on the job site, we want to bring in here as contacts under this account. And then files. This is a great place to store the floor plans. It is a great space to have pictures. Also, when the client accepts our proposal, the executed copy gets PDF'd and attached to the account. Okay, so far so good? I hope so. If not, there's also a chat area where you guys can type your questions, and I will do my best to keep an eye over there, but I will address them at the end as well. Okay, so I'm going to select my quote and we're going to drill down one level deeper. So now we're in the quote and you land on the overview section. And remember in the beginning, we're starting from scratch, but I had this 325. I have some adjustments set up. So an adjustment could be a discount, like 10% off for friends and family. I don't know, you guys might want to mark those up. They take a lot of work. But you can also add a discount. So I charge a flat $250 design fee, and I want that to persist. So every time that I create an opportunity, I don't have to worry about sales forgetting. So you can do a flat fixed amount, or you could toggle between that and a percentage and have a dynamic adjustment. So this is basically saying 5% of my bill of materials are my shop charges. Your zip ties, connectors, drop cloths, the things that you buy in low dollar amount, but high volume, we want to capture those hard costs and translate it onto the customer. And I love project waste as well. The breaking down and disposal of their boxes and things like that that take time as well as have a cost associated to them. We want to capture that here. So those are adjustments. Now, under the overview section is a scope of work. So we're starting from scratch. But what's really nice is I have a scope of work template. So one tip in automating documentation using DTools Cloud is that we can basically create a template or snippets, if you'd like, um, of text and make a master template. And then when every salesperson creates a quote, they can just remove the text that's not applicable. Um, but we have a lot of content ready to go all the time. And then you also get that one man, one sound vibe. If you have, a team of people, everyone wants to have their own style and flair as they should, but you get the bones of it for consistency. Okay, so that's your overview section. So I'm going to go over to design, and this is how you start designing your system. Now we are doing a building, so pardon me. I have some default locations here, but you can change them. But an easy way to create a new location, and let me just pop that up. So you define your locations, and you can get pretty granular and have sub-locations as well. Typically, we're looking at it from building, floor, room, closet. So you can really specify where the equipment's going. So let's just do hallway. Um, let's just say that's there. I'm gonna pick it up. There we go. Um, but you get the idea, right? And then in the kitchen, maybe there is the rat closet, right? So just to give you an idea of the hierarchy. But in the main entry, now we're going to start searching for products. So I'm going to search. You're always searching your favorite products, products in your catalog, and then items that you may want to download from the DTools library. So again, anything you pull from us will be added to your catalog in the background. All right, so here's that camera that I love. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And now we're prompted for that optional recommended accessory. So now you get to see that in action. And sure, yeah, let's add it. Why not? Now I've gotten a item validation error, just letting me know that I don't have cost set. So I'm just going to say, let's just $100, right? All right. So now that goes away, but that is a great feature. It's a way, when you have hundreds of parts all together, we want you to be easy, it to be easy for you to see where you're missing the mark and quickly correct, right? So that's how easy it is to add a product. And I have my labor, cost, margin, all that good stuff. And then if I select this product, the detail bar slides out. And here are all the labor rates that we set up. Now, what's nice is once you add a product to a quote, any changes that you make are job specific. So perhaps they have brick, their walls are more challenging for some reason, and I wanted to make this 2 hours, just account for that additional difficulty. This change is a quote specific change. It's not going to override the global pricing in your catalog. It's a one off because every customer is unique. Now, if you are an administrator, you could have permissions that would allow you to push a job specific change out globally to the catalog. Otherwise, it's just a one off for us. Okay, and now coming down, we're going to have a little fun, and I'm going to do an alternate set because this customer, let's call this, and I'll say, please choose your preferred camera. I'm going to search for another one, right? Let's just see here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the client the option to pick the product that they'd like to move forward with. We can also do this on the package level, which is really nice. And let's just say I've just added a couple options here. So the one that you recommend, that's the one that's counted in the bottom line, right? And I like the rule of three. I can say that this one is most popular and, you know, best value for maximum safety, right? And this one I could say, let's just say it's basic and standard. And this might be our best in class and, latest technology. But a really easy way for the client to see a good, better, best scenario and and decide accordingly, right? So these are alternate sets. Client can pick between two or more products, right? And that's not to be confused with an optional item. Now, items can also be optional. Let's just say you wanted to add, and I don't know, maybe they wanted you to change a product in the hallway. Let's just look at that. Or maybe we're going to use that one. That's fine. Now, I could make this product optional, which means that the client cannot add it. The client can add it if they want. Let's just see here. Got my pricing set. So independent of the bottom line, but they have the option to add. So that's just typically how easy it is to quote. Now we can continue the quoting process, but we can do it visually. And this is where you can upload your floor plan. And let's just say, let's go here. We're going to let's just do, trying to decide. Let's just do this one. You're going to upload a floor plan, PDF, JPEG, PNG, and we're going to lock it down. So once we have our floor plan, we can search and add equipment on top. However, we already started to list some things out. So I'm going to undock this double chevron tab here, and I'll use my draw locations tool to define each location. So let's just say that's the hallway right here. This is the kitchen. So now that I've assigned each location, any equipment that I drag and drop or stamp in this area will organize it in that location on the proposal. So this is visual quoting, and it's a really nice 2-for-1 space. I'm going to turn my borders off because I have them. But if you didn't have a floor plan, leaving your borders on would be a great way to just whip something up really quick that helps the client connect the dots and hopefully speed up their decision making, right? So I'm going to go into the main entry, and let's just say we're going to go with that one. And I've added that to my floor plan. And I'm going to turn on my coverage shapes. And this is a really nice sales tool as well. In my palette here, I have some tools. But it's really nice for camera coverage, sound dispersion, Wi-Fi coverage, but maybe seeing it will also help them decide between the camera that they'd like, right? So this is visual quoting, the bill of materials and the graphic are one. You can also start here, and by searching for equipment, it adds to the BOM. And you could flip flop between the icon for this category or the JPEG image, right? So that's visual quoting. We're going to go ahead and grab a service plan. And why not? Let's grab the monitoring agreement as well. If there were any subscriptions that you needed to pass along, this is where you would do that. And then the last step on the quoting train is where you would review this product, this proposal, and make sure that it makes sense for the organization. And then we'll create the proposal. So your quick quote, this is your executive summary, repeat customer, version. And the multimedia, this is your full on sales presentation. All right. Um, and so now we're in this edit environment. And I'm going to change my template. I'm going to put my commercial template on top. So let's hit present. So you have tons of grouping and display options, but your mission, your portfolio, it's really easy to showcase your work, hyperlink equipment back to your gallery. I have my project description template here. Now we even allow for 360-degree images, and then it goes into your locations line item. So this is your alternate set coming into play where a client can see which one you recommend, because there's definitely value in that, right? I don't know if I've ever gone against a recommendation from a subject matter expert. So there's where you can showcase that. But I'm going to opt for the best in class. And I get a little footer that says I've made one change resulting in a price difference of X. All right. And then if you wanted to add these optional items, like the use case would be maybe they didn't anticipate doing coverage in the hallway, but you're already there doing the work. So it's going to cost them an extra 317 bucks. Why not, right? So they're moving through and making decisions. And we really want them, the more decisive we can get them and engaging with the document is the quicker it's going to come back signed. Service plan, they can see the lengths. Maybe they want to commit to the year and pay annually. Why not? They can peruse your terms and conditions for your service plan and agree to them. And then this is your coverage. And maybe they want to do the same and pay that annually as well. They get a lovely summary breakdown. And each section, by the way, is editable. So you can always, maybe your preference is to turn off the line item amount, and maybe I'm not even showing descriptions, so you might want to turn that on. But you have options. All right. So total price. I have an 80/20 payment terms and conditions, and then they would electronically accept. So I forgot to check my terms and conditions for the service plan. And this is where the client would accept. And if you decide to use DTools payments, now the next screen that they see is where they can pay their initial deposit through credit card, or if their preference is to do ACH or eCheck, they can enter in their routing number as well. Just another way we're trying to close some of the gaps and take care of the transactions for you. And one thing to note about the credit card, this was a big deal, but we now pass the convenience fees onto the customer. So you no longer have to eat that cost. I know it was a real concern for a lot of integrators because it adds up very quickly, but now this is an elegant way to bypass that objection, or we're not working backwards and trying to figure out where can we bake it in, to offset that cost. So now it's plain, and ACH is a 1% with a $10 cap. All right, so I can go ahead and make that initial deposit and accept the proposal. All right. And so it lets you know that the proposal was accepted. I'm receiving all sorts of email notifications, and you can see that what was recommended and what the client opted for um, prior to accepting the proposal. All right, so now that this opportunity has been accepted, what we would do, I'm going to move it over to my final stage, and I am going to create a project. And this is going to bring us right into the project. And at this stage, you can send over the estimate to QuickBooks or Xero if those are the accounting platforms that you're using. All right, so now we are in the first leg of our post-sale change. And I won't spend too much time here. Project management is a massive suite of features, but this is what we hope to be your PM's like dream dashboard. What's the original contract gross margin, what phase you're looking at, but this is where you enter in key dates, things like high level dates like job site closed or, you know, electrician on site, whatever you need to keep top of mind. As things change orders evolve here, billing payment, manage your invoicing, and then you get this beautiful how much labor have you used, how much is scheduled, and how much is unscheduled as you approach project completion. All right. Now, coming down to my project plan really quickly, then to details. Before I start anything, I'm going to just touch on item status and creating a purchase order. So you would select the products and you hit your shopping cart and you would connect to your supplier. All right. And then they will automatically, we will automatically send your purchase order over to EPCOM for fulfillment. All right. And then when those products come in, you're able to mark them as received. If they're ordered, they'd already automatically move to the ordered state. So you'll manage your bill of materials here. Once everything comes in, then you can add them to a task for technicians. So that's just a glimpse into the post-sale workflow. But as equipment comes in, then we schedule the work. And that starts with a project plan. If you have a recipe, I do these 13 things every time we sell a job. And you could be as granular or as loose as you'd like. So I'm going to go in this pre-wire task, let's just say, and you assign resources. I'm going to assign it to myself. Description of what you want your technician to do. Checklist items are subtasks, things that you don't want me to leave the job site without checking off. And then you would add the equipment to the task. And this ends up being like this digital pick list for the technician, right? The items in the task, and then any supporting documentation that you've created, you can browse out and provide to them to support them in the field as well, right? So you create your project plan, you task it out, and then you schedule the work on the calendar. And that puts it on the schedule for today. All right. So I hope that this gave you some insight into the benefits of integrated pricing and why everyone should be connected to EPCOM. Not only does the managed pricing help reduce the sales prep that you do on the proposal side, but it also streamlines it all the way to procurement as well. And using DTools Cloud and keeping more of your activity inside one place will ultimately make your team more efficient. We thank you for joining our webinar today, and we hope to see you at a future webinar.